Okay, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so would everybody please rise? And Councilman Lupinacci, would you lead us?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Okay, once again, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this meeting. Those of you who are present with us this evening and those of you that are at home watching, thank you for watching. Today's Town Board meeting is a Town Board work session, and all members of the board are present with the exception of Councilwoman McDonough, who couldn't be with us this evening because of a prior family engagement that she had to attend. And all the way down to my left is our town attorney, Greg Falchetti, as well. In the audience, we have Mike Simone, our highway superintendent, and Glenn Josie, our assessor, is here tonight with Edie McCarthy, the town's consulting assessor. They're going to be giving a report on, actually an update on the Town of Carmel assessments this evening. So without any further ado, what we're going to open up with is a review of the Town Board minutes of March 28th. Unless any Town Board members have any comment on the minutes of the 28th, we're going to move on.
No.
Okay, item number one on the agenda, Glenn Josie, Town Assessor, Edie McCarthy, Assessor Consultant. Guys, welcome. Thanks for being here. This is to update the public on what's going on with in the assessor's office with respect to the update on the Town of Carmel assessments. As you know, we went through a reval, townwide reval over the past couple of years. Last year it was finalized and implemented, and now they're going to report on what's been going on in the assessor's office to keep those assessments at it. We're at 100%, but work needs to be done to maintain the rolls at 100% because there's been shifts in the market, and they're here to talk a little bit about that and just to give us an update, guys.
That about sums it up, Kenny. Yeah.
Oh, did I steal?
Thank you for letting us come out.
Okay,
though,
all right.
Go into a little more.
Right.
Yes, the 2018 reassessment update. For the past year, we have been preparing the 2018 assessment roll. Last year, the town completed a full reassessment of every property. This year, we conducted a non-reappraisal reassessment, which is a systematic analysis of all properties within the town by neighborhood. By this analysis, we determined trends in the market for each market area. The Town of Carmel 2017 reassessment project has brought all assessments of properties to a uniform 100% full market value. In 2018, we maintain our assessments at 100% according to New York Office of Real Property Services. Going forward, the Town Assessor's Office will keep our assessments at 100% full market value. We are in the final stage of assessment review for this year. The assessment department will be working and is working closely with GAR Consulting, McCarthy Consulting, and the New York State Office of Real Property Tax Services to complete this. The trends have been applied to the 2017 assessments for the 2018 assessments and will be made available for review on May 1st, 2018 on our tentative assessment roll. The tentative assessment roll can be viewed on the town webpage or in person at the town hall. We are also sending out assessment change notices by May 1st, 2018. These notices will show last year's 2017 assessment compared to the tentative 2018 assessments. All property owners should annually review their assessment to determine whether they reflect a current full market value. If you find that your assessed value is too high, then you should prepare your information to support your claim of value. Information to support your claim would be appraisals, sales of similar homes that have sold, photos of your home, and if recently you purchased, you would let us know your recent purchase price. If you feel that your value is too high, then You would need to file a complaint on assessment form RP 524 with the assessor's office on or before May 22nd of May 2018. The assessor's office will review the applications as they come in and try to come to an agreement. If no agreement is reached, the application then goes to the Board of Assessment Review. If you wish to appear in front of the Board of Assessment Review at their meeting, they meet May 22nd between 6 and 10 p.m. If you want to prepare your information and see them in person. The assessor's office is available during business hours to assist with the preparation of assessment appeals and just to answer questions in regards to value if needed. So, anyone like to add anything to that? Or
Glenn, before Edie adds anything, just one more time,
Yes.
just for the benefit of the public. So
Yeah.
if a homeowner or property owner is if they disagree with their assessment, they feel that they're assessed too high, and they want to challenge that, they want to grieve that, it would go before the Board of Assessment Review, which meets in May on May 22nd.
correct.
The forms that they have to fill out, that they have to submit, when do they have to be submitted by?
On or before May 22nd.
On or before? Okay,
Yes.
so that.
Usually you start around May 1st with those applications. It's a
Okay.
complaint on assessment form. Get that into our office. We will look it over. If we can come to an agreement with the homeowner, we will gladly do that and sign off on the assessment, on the assessment roll for this year. If no agreement is reached, it then goes to the Board of Review to make a determination on that application.
Okay, so the property owner shouldn't wait until the 22nd to submit their application. They should submit it well in advance.
Sooner the better, yeah.
Sooner,
They should prepare their values now. If they feel their assessment last year was wrong even, they may want to, bring their information in now even, start working with us. We're
Okay,
open to that.
so if they submit all the backup they have, all the paperwork, the application, should they call the assessor's office and make an appointment to come in and see you? Or can they just walk in?
They can make appointments or walk in, yeah.
Okay, so either way, they could call ahead and set up an appointment at 628-1500, just your extension 162?
I'm extension 162, but anyone in the office, I
Anyone-
do have staff that has appraisal
Okay,
backgrounds there. So everyone can help
all right,
in the office.
okay. And the Board of Assessment Review is a board of, there's 5 Board of Assessment Review members that you would present your, in other words, if after they've met with you, Glenn, or one of your staff members, if they're still not satisfied or they feels that they could have gotten a better result by going before the Board of Assessment Review, then those 5 independent people that have been appointed by us to represent the town at the assessment hearings, then they would present their case to them.
Correct, yeah. The Board of Review is an independent board that reviews complaints on assessments.
Okay,
That's their purpose, yeah.
all right, yeah. I knew most of that, but I just wanted to make sure for the benefit
Yeah,
of
we'll
the
get it.
public that they're aware of that and they hear that, and so at least they have that knowledge of what needs to be done ahead of time.
Yes.
Good. Okay, thanks, Glenn. Edie, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Of course. Really quick, not that I want to give the assessor's office any more work, but we strongly recommend that when you get your notices the first week in May, first day or two in May, that you review them, and for the 2018 assessment, that should reflect the current market value of your property. And in English, what that means is if you get your assessment and you think you can sell it for that much money, that's the correct current market assessment. That's how you look at it. And so from May 1st to May 22nd, the assessor's office, Glenn, has the ability to discuss the assessments with the property owners and make changes accordingly based on the information that they bring in, appraisals, current market analysis, interior photos, things like that. On May 22nd is when the Board of Assessment Review takes over, and then it's out of the assessor's hands, and it goes into the Board of Reviews. So, that's it.
And when does the Board of Review typically give a finding on the challenge? So is it that evening, or will they receive some type of notification?
So they meet on May 22nd from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., and then they'll meet in deliberative sessions throughout the next month or so, and notices to the people that have appealed their assessments will be mailed out July 1st.
Okay, good. Was there anything else you want to add, Jonathan?
No,
Did I cover everything that,
not, you guys covered everything on if you think that you're assessed too high.
right?
I don't think anybody's coming in if they're assessed too low.
Well, I was just going to comment on that as well. So if you received your assessment change notices and the assessment's too low, feel free to come in and we'll review that as well.
Right, I believe you won't have anyone that night. I just, in regards to the cyclical project that we're working on now, basically this is to prevent what we experience with the sticker shock on our tax bills across many different areas of town. Are we basically looking at 20% of the town on these neighborhoods each year? So in 5 years, everybody's been looked at?
What we did was we did a systematic analysis of all the properties in town. That's what is known as a non-reappraisal reassessment. So what happens is some people who have taken out building permits to improve their properties or new properties, they're receiving a greater assessment change than just the market trends that we've determined. But every year going forward with this non-reappraisal reassessment, we will be doing a systematic analysis and watching the market. So as the market increases, people's assessments will increase, and as the market eventually will, of course, fluctuations, as the market decreases, assessment decreases will take place as well.
Have you,
And that you committed last year to maintaining these values at 100%. So the assessor's office will be reviewing them every single year.
And do you know if that money that's supposed to be refunded to the town for keeping up with cyclical reassessments, is that in the budget that was just approved?
Are you talking about our $2 per parcel from
Yes,
New York State?
exactly.
That's not a guarantee that we're receiving that money, but it's on the block, and we did apply for it in the appropriate time. So we'll have to wait a couple months to find out if we receive any of those funds or not.
I believe that was actually the state's last year budget that would come out of.
Okay,
But yeah, they still have not made the payment.
I'm not surprised.
No.
Our payments that were supposed to be for the property tax relief back in September, October,
We're still waiting.
well, we got ours in February, so at least it's coming at some point. All right, thank you.
So Edie and Glenn, if a property owner's assessment went up, that was due to a shift in the market, a trend in the market where real estate values have increased?
One of two. It could either be just the market trends, or it could be because somebody did an improvement to their property, took building permits out, or we found out that there was work done, and then on top of that with the market trends.
And have you seen a shift in the market trends in the values of property?
any areas in particular where they've trended down from the reval or trended up?
Trended up.
Have you,
We're still in the final stages of making those determinations, but we have not found any decreases in the market, not this year.
well, there's no inventory.
Which means market values are going up,
Going up.
because there's no inventory, so.
Yeah, I've heard of, a few realtors have told me that they're in bidding wars now for certain properties and certain values where people are actually paying above what's listed for the asking price
We're
now.
seeing it every day.
Yeah, not strictly because of no inventory. My question is, like in a certain area, have you seen 3, 4, 5 houses sold or pieces of property sold for more than what you revaled them for, or for less? Have you seen any areas yet where you could track that?
The majority of the town has gone up. So yeah, the majority of the residential properties have gone up across the town. So it's not just a specific area that we could point to, but we're talking almost 9,000 parcels.
Well, I know, but also in the last year, there's been a lot less on the market. Okay. I don't have anything.
We'll have the data to do what Mr. Borelli is talking about, correct? As you start to plot out the different areas, we'll be able to take a look at each one to see that if it's in sync, it goes up, or it's gone down a little bit.
So typically, the way that we look at this is we broke the town out into neighborhoods. That's the first thing that we did.
Correct.
And the biggest neighborhood, this we did last year, and the biggest neighborhood delineations were the school districts. And then from there, we broke those neighborhoods, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, lucky my husband. So that was funny. So we broke it out into school districts, and then we broke the school district neighborhoods out into smaller districts. So we looked at those different neighborhoods and making the market trend determinations based on those. So we're tracking those, and what you'll see when we finalize everything is a report from GAR Associates telling us which neighborhoods went up and which neighborhoods went down. Is that what you're asking?
Let me simplify my question for the people that are watching this, because it's important. If you have a neighborhood that's, just say 50 houses, 3, 4, 5 of them sold under the average of what you have them assessed for, the neighborhood, is that whole neighborhood going to be looked at? Or is it up to the people to find out that a handful have been changed? Or are you going to look at the whole neighborhood and lower the whole neighborhood, or raise the whole neighborhood?
That's exactly what we did. We looked at the whole neighborhood. We looked at each neighborhood individually. It's a good question. It just didn't register when you
I
first.
just want to make sure that
Yep.
the people that are in their homes
But
are aware of the numbers that were sold around the corner from them, and that they don't have to wait and come
So one of-
themselves to have their,
Hold on one second. So one of the focuses we did last year, because it had been so long since we've done the whole reassessment, and this year, and next year, and the year after that, it's not only our responsibility to make sure, to the best of our abilities, that we capture the values of the neighborhoods, each of them, it is also a property owner's responsibility. So if you, as a property owner, you see that your assessment is too high, of course, you're going to come in. But what also happens after a reassessment, and now we're doing the continual updates, is that we're looking at pockets. You look at pockets. You look at pockets. You look at pockets. If you're finding those, there's an inequity, then bring it to our attention, and we'll be happy to look at it, because that's what happens. So it's our responsibility.
back to the same question for a
Yep.
real simple answer. If you find a pocket that the market it went down in, are you going to redo that whole pocket? Or are you waiting for the people to come in?
Oh, no, we're going to be reviewing those pockets.
Okay. That's it.
All
So
pockets.
the people don't have to worry. If the area went down, you're telling them that they don't have to pay attention, that if it goes down, you are going to lower it.
We are going to lower them, and we're going to raise them depending on what
Exactly.
happens. But
That's
it's
the
also property owners' responsibilities to pay attention to that as well. We are going to be doing that every year from now on.
Okay, I know you keep saying the property owner's responsibility. I just want to make sure that
Yep, it's
if you
ours.
notify an area, if you spot an area that goes down, that we, the town, takes care of the whole area.
We do. That's part of the plan.
That's it. That's the question. Thank you.
There was a lot of oversight at the state level throughout the entire time of the reassessment project. Are they going to basically look at what we come back with as a town this year as well and say, everything looks good, you're at 100.001% accuracy?
Yes, and they already are working with us and have already overlooked the files that we have as drafts, so, and things are looking good. Yeah, they're with us on this.
So we're not expecting to see properties coming to a point where it's, oh, you're at 60% value and we need to do this, whatever it was called, the equalization rate, that was it.
No, we're not
gonna
going
have to
back.
worry about that. Okay.
The state representatives have been with us throughout the last year and throughout the entire process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. All right. Any further questions for the assessor and Edie? No. Right, John? You good? Okay.
Good, thank you.
All right, we're good, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do, because you were number one on the agenda. Is there anybody here, I'm just going to go off the agenda a little bit, that has any questions for the assessor and the assessing consultant while they're here? I mean, while you're here, is there any questions for them regarding this topic? Okay. All right, great, thank you.
Yes?
Is there?
I
There
thought
was
so.
somebody?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, if it's
Yeah,
on
because
this
they'll
topic,
probably
sure.
be able to answer the.
Yeah, because I don't
Much
want them,
better.
I don't want them to leave and somebody have a question at the end.
Hi, good evening, Jean Holland from Mahopac. Just a quick question. Thank you for all of that information. That was really helpful. That May 1st, how will the public be informed about May 1st, other than this meeting?
Well,
Letter.
I can answer that. The entire town is being mailed a change of assessment notice, all 13,000 parcels.
Wow, and they'll be receiving that on May 1st?
We're mailing it by the end of April, so yeah, it should be
Okay.
in your mailbox by May 1st.
No, I'm just wondering if our newspaper could probably print that too, just to give people a heads up so they can kind of prep in the next few weeks. If they feel they had problems last time, they can get a jump on it now instead of that 3-week period, just to, that's all I wanted to say, is just really to publicize that 21st, the May 1st.
May I comment on that before you go forward? Okay, so Glenn had mentioned the preparation of the appeals if it's necessary.
Right.
It's plenty of time. You don't have to wait. Regardless of what your assessment change notice comes out, the value comes on, you can prepare. You can contact a realtor. You can, if you have
Right.
an appraisal, you can do that right now. So that was a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Also, in the assessment change notices, there are some pockets in town that that saw a zero change in the market. They are still going to be receiving an assessment change notice. So be prepared to get this letter from the town assessor's office, and it may very well say 2017 assessment was X, 2018 assessment is X.
Right.
So that doesn't mean that we made a mistake. It just means that there was a zero market trend in that particular neighborhood.
And that information you mentioned will be online on the town website also by May 1st, not before that.
Not before that.
Not before that, okay. And the form you mentioned that was, I don't know, you mentioned like a T something form.
Form number RP-524. It's a complaint on assessment form.
That's available where? Online as well? On the
It's
town website?
online, town website. It's already there on the assessor's page. New York State Department of Taxation and Finance has the form also.
Great, thank you very much. That's it.
Okay.
RP-524.
Bob,
All the assessments are right, don't worry about it.
were you going to put something in, a little blurb in the Mahopac News about this? Is that? Okay, all right. So you are going to put something in there. Good, thank you. All right.
There is one last thing before we go. There is going to be, hopefully tomorrow or Friday, an update, basically to reiterate what we said tonight, and also those dates, and also the form number on the town assessor's website. So you can look for a 2018 reassessment update.
All right, great. Super. All
And
right.
the one and only Annie Pasquarella is going to send out a text to anybody. So if you're signed up for the text alerts and messages from the town, one will get sent out shortly. And hopefully we'll get an agreement to get a Facebook page up and running, and we could start posting on that too.
We can do that.
Again?
Yes, so I don't have to post everything on my personal page. And they get yelled at, then get criticized for it. All right, okay. I think we're all set, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks,
very
Glenn.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Gary.
everyone.
You want us to put the table back?
No, leave the table, that's fine. Mike's gonna need it.
Yours,
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Thank you. All right. All right, so number 2 on the agenda. Take care, Chris. Ed Barnett, Chairman of the Lake Mahopac Park District Advisory Board. There's a request from the Park District Advisory Board. Mr. Barnett is for an advisory board members, Ed Barnett and Jay Crawford, to attend the 2018 New York State Federation of Lakes Annual Conference. The dates of the conference are May 3rd to May 5th, 2018 in Lake George, New York, not to exceed $1,200 in costs incurred by the Lake Mahopac Park District. So he sent a formal letter in. The board has it in their backup by the Lake Park District members, Mr. Crawford and Mr. Barnett, to attend this New York State Federation of Lakes Association Conference held at Fort William Henry Hotel in Lake George from the 3rd to the 5th of May. We're respectfully requesting to attend this. The advisory board, as advisory board, we wanted to make this request sooner, but the winter weather conditions precluded our normal meeting schedule. The Lake Mahopac Park District has not been present at these annual conferences for many years. The advisory board felt that it was time to participate in order to address some of the environmental challenges that face Lake Mahopac now and in the foreseeable future. We will lay out the initial cost for the conference and hotel expense and submit a final expense report after the conference for reimbursement. Our request is not to exceed $1,200 for all expenses. Attached is a conference schedule and events. Thank you for attention to this matter. Ed Barnett. And we have a memo here from Mary Ann Maxwell, the town controller, that the request for the encumbrance for the funds for the conference, that there are sufficient funds in the Lake Mahopac Park District budget to cover this cost.
I was at that meeting, Kenny. It's important that they go.
That they attend, yeah. Oh, it definitely is, yeah, especially if they haven't been there in a few years, they need to go. And they have the agenda for the conference here attached as well. And it looks like there's some pretty interesting seminars, you know, and conferences that they'll be attending while they're there, so. Okay. Any questions or comments, concerns regarding this request? If not, we're going to move on. Okay, next item on the agenda, Mike Simone, Highway Superintendent, is to consider a request to attend a highway school June 3rd to June 5th, 2018 in Ithaca, New York, for a cost of $772. Mike?
Yeah, this is a yearly event that I go to, again, to find out what's new and within the state of New York and some of the vendors, and get a chance to sit side by side with 750 other highway superintendents and kind of go over our woes. So.
Yeah, I like the agenda, Mike, on the first page.
Yeah.
The highway school topics, recycled asphalt pavement, preparing for emergencies. Did they add that after the nor'easter?
Well, this was put up ahead of time, but it's in anticipation of the ongoing emergencies that New York State has been facing, so.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, it's a good selection of topics, certainly is, and I'm sure it's going to be very informative, Mike. And I think do you attend annually?
Yeah.
I think you do, right? You have been? Yeah.
Yep, I think
So
this
it's
is
a good
my
school to go
19th
to.
year.
Yep, so, any questions, comments for the highway superintendent regarding the school? No? Okay, next item, number 4, is also our highway superintendent. Consider request to award a bid for spring materials and supplies.
As we remember, we went out to bid, and again, we had month of March came about, and we had to rebid, or we had to rebid due to the fact that we were closed during the blackout time when we lost power here. But this is an annual bid. The bids were opened by the town clerk. She sent the packet over to me. I have reviewed them, and these are my suggestions of awards, so.
Okay, and again, this is something that the highway superintendent does annually with respect to the highway spring materials and bids. And I just want to bring the board's attention on this one, on item 4. The last item, waste wood processing, reject all bids. They far exceed my budget. I will rebid, hoping to expand my vendor participation. That will be covered in the next item, number 5.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So let's go on to number 5 then, Mike.
Okay, yeah, again, bid packages went out, I believe, to 9. 2 came back with bids.
I read that before.
It far exceeded anything I have done in the past. I would like to reject these bids,
I can't believe the
rebid
price
it,
of blacktop.
and if it continues that way, then probably reject the bids. Because
Yeah.
the rate there is what I have in the budget for the 1 week rate is more than I would have for the whole year, so.
Wow. Any thoughts about why the increase? Is it?
I have no idea. Again, it's a bidder's market out there. I don't control it. It's, depending on the outcome, hopefully we hear something due to the storm. The town of Carmel, we got 175 trees down. So there's going to be a lot of wood waste that we're going to have to get rid of. I'm hoping that we get something from either FEMA or SEMO to get this money back. So I'm hoping to hear that in the future, that either the governor or someone who has enacted the emergency comes back with some dollars to back that up, so.
Makes sense. It's part of the emergency.
One would certainly think so, but we haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, I haven't gotten anything yet either, Mike, from the state or federal level, nothing with respect to.
Cleanup of damage for an emergency is part of the emergency.
We have yet to get any funding for the emergency, so what I'm asking for is, we have gotten nothing yet. We are keeping detailed records of the emergency and what transpired within the highways, but it would be nice, I have to get rid of this wood waste no matter what. It would be nice to get paid for it, or be reimbursed for it, so.
Okay.
Michael, what is the wood waste disposal and processing?
It's a grinder. big tub grinders.
We don't have that in there.
No.
Okay. But we have the trucks, we have the manpower, we just don't have that large chipper that'll take
Right,
trees down.
right. I mean, we have small chippers. We chip our branches, but when you take out whole trees, I mean, some of these are
200-year-old oaks that are,
4 and 5 feet in
3 foot.
diameter. I mean, I need a tub grinder to come in and reduce it to a chip waste, so.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions for the highway superintendent on this item? Okay, let's move on to the next one, Mike. This is Highway Superintendent's 2018 Highway Capital Projects.
Exactly. Now that we have our bids in, now that hopefully spring has arrived, hopefully soon, we're looking at doing some capital projects as we do every year. So in front of you is a breakdown of what I'm looking at. Capital equipment of $600,000. What that consists of is 2 4-wheel international trucks with dump bodies, plow, and wings, bought off of New York State contract, and 1 20-ton trailer. So,
And 1 20-ton trailer.
right.
Okay. Okay.
In
The
talking,
4x4, Mike, are the 6-wheelers, right?
Yeah,
The larger
yeah.
trucks?
yes, yep, to replace 2 that are aging and probably not going to last much longer. Again, on this cycle, we try to anticipate, we try to buy 2 every year. This way we keep the fleets pretty much in good repair, and that anything that is 12 to 15 years or older, if it's not in great shape and rusted, we get to replace it, so. And it's smarter, as I say, we've done this in the past, to replace 2 at a time than have to, where we did once before, had to go out for 6, which is,
Yeah.
it's tough, and
It's
it's
been
gonna hurt
1.2
us again later on, the next guy that's gotta buy 6,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
I don't think
makes
we wanna
sense.
do that, so.
Okay, all right, and so that was for the equipment, Mike, so the paving?
And for the board's discussion, and I know Mary Ann's not here, but I have had a discussion with Mary Ann and the town controller, and this is an area that we have to look at. We do have money set aside in our budget, and I believe it's $250,000 for this year. So we have to determine, do we want to spend any of that money this year?
Correct.
Or do we want to bond it all? And again, that's the board's prerogative. I will tell you that one of these trucks is $250,000, so that will buy you 1 truck, but you will also deplete all that money.
And money's, as Councilman Borelli has said many times, you know,
Money's
cheap.
cheap.
Right now. Money's cheap.
Right now, it's cheap, that's why, it's, you know,
When was the last big truck we bought?
last year. Every year we get, right, you have to. I have 32 trucks. If you don't keep it in that kind of
We didn't bond it. no.
order,
We
we're,
there was some money that was carried over.
Yeah. You have to continue the pace you're going.
right,
Yeah.
right. Otherwise, you're gonna fall behind, and then that becomes problematic,
And you wind up
and
with 6
the cost is gonna go up considerably.
Mike, in the past 6 years, do you know how many new vehicles we've added on the fleet?
I don't, I could get you that number before
I
the
know
next meeting, but
I know in 2012, we did like a super infusion of new trucks.
right, we
gotta think a half
unfortunately,
dozen
we needed 6 at that time,
Yeah.
because
Desperately.
the years before, we had gone 1, none, and 1, which kind of hurt us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've done it at least 1, if not 2 vehicles every year since then
Yes,
as well.
yeah. I have infused some small vehicles with some large vehicles so that I can replace my smaller fleet, which is my foreman's trucks, and some of my smaller plows, because we do have roads that are less than 14 feet wide that are town roads, so we need a few small trucks just to be able to maintain those.
Makes sense. But at least we're on a good cycle now of replacement, so we don't have to worry about another half dozen being purchased
Right.
1 year.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, somewhere down the road, those 6 that we did, I mean, I'd like to be able to keep them and keep them in great repair where we don't have to replace all 6 at once, but it might be a 3 and 3 year, you know, so.
Easier to swallow, at least.
Yeah.
Any recommendations you have for prolonging the life of our vehicles? I know you and I had some discussions in regards to a lot of issues with storage, rust, not being able to wash things.
Right. I mean, again, I'm in a less than half-acre lot over here. My vehicles are outside. There is no wash bay. We have, at the shared services meeting, which Kenny and I have attended to, and we have talked with the county may be looking at building a wash station for all the county. If that works out, which would help
Probably lie
us.
somewhere in this town.
Well,
No, actually, no,
No?
it's hard to say.
Figure the seat
I
of the county
believe,
is right over the,
I believe yes, because of the ingredients needed for a wash bay. You need sewer and you need water. There aren't many towns that have sewer and water.
Yeah.
Carmel leads that, so I would think that if they were smart, they'd be looking in our town. But again, it would have to go on a county facility or county lot, so we have to think about that too.
Mike, if I could just share this, it was discussed again today. We had a 4 o'clock meeting at the county, and that same topic came up about a wash bay that would be shared amongst the towns and the school districts as well for their buses. So it was mentioned again.
It was on a school budget back, I think, probably 4 or 5 years ago, but was voted down. So, I mean, everybody's thinking about this, because if you don't get the material off the trucks, and again, we're not only laying it down, we're also right out in the worst conditions they can be in. I am going to stainless steel bodies. I'm doing everything I can do. It's going to drive costs up, of course, but I'm trying to do everything I can do to make these trucks last. But not being able to wash them in the cold weather times, when it's below 32 degrees, and in all honesty, our washing is a hose off. If we can get a true wash bay where, like a car, you can go in and go through a system that undercarriage and all that stuff gets washed, it works a lot better, and it'll make it last. Plus, eventually, I truly, in the highway department of the future, if you're thinking 50 or 100 years down the road, doesn't belong here. We need to find a site for it where I can build a bigger garage, where I can put a lot of my trucks undercover, where they're heated, where you don't have the problems of being out in the open, where everything's frozen and literally locks on the trucks for the winter. So,
hopefully we'll be able to work out some solutions for that in the near future.
yeah.
Hopefully.
You know how government operates pretty well, huh?
So that would be
Okay.
my equipment, my capital equipment. Moving on to my capital pavement, I'm looking for $750,000 a year, this year again. Hopefully, we're going to be repaving in the neighborhood of between 7 to 9 miles of road. Our bids did come in. They did not move from last year, so we know that our per mile for a 2-inch overlay is going to stay the same at about $152,000 a mile for a 2-inch overlay. Now, that's just one of the tools I use, is just straight blacktop. I do use other things, which is mill and fill. I do use full-depth reclamation where needed, and I do use hot-in-place recycling. These are all tools that we can use, but all of them need something to cover it. So whether it's the full-depth 2-inch, the full 2 inches, or whether it's a 1.5 inches or an inch on some of the overlays, the costs are going to vary, but I'm going to tell you that this number, along with the infusion of my CHIPS number, will get us to where we can do the mileage we need to do. Again, having 172 miles in the town of Carmel. If you do an analysis on if I'm doing anywhere from 6 to 8, 9 miles, we're doing it out at 30 years, so.
Okay. 7 to 9 miles. All right. Was there any, it doesn't look like there was any monies from paving, Mike, that were carried over from 17, right?
No,
Doesn't look, yeah.
no, I usually always run that out,
Yeah.
because I want to get as much as I can in my paving dollars.
Yeah.
Again, if we're all watching, oil's going up.
Yeah.
This year's bid is very good, I think, because it stayed the same as last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that the future looks like next year might be, if it stays this way, it's probably going to be higher.
Gonna be
So,
higher.
you try to get as much done at the lower dollar value, so.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mike regarding the capital paving request?
No.
Mike? John? All right, Mike, you want to go on to drainage?
Yep, drainage. The number here really is $200,000. as I typically ask for, is $200,000. But last year, we did extensive drainage in communities, but it was a very wet, long spring. I didn't get started until well into mid-June. So I have left over from last year, and I've talked to Mary Ann on this, about $80,000. So the injection of 125 gets me to $200,000. If I can get in the ground in May where I'd like to, I'm going to put in $200,000 worth of pipe throughout the town. We do have some roads that are collapsing, old corrugated metal pipes that need to be replaced, but I also have some new drainage, which I've been into, some areas like Lake Cassie, Lake McGregor, that I have to complete. I've started some of my drainage projects in there, and I'm going to continue in those places that need drainage, so. This number, as I said, added with last year's number, should get me to the 200,000, and that should be enough to get me through for the year, so.
Okay. All right. Jonathan, any questions regarding drainage request? Mike, you good? John, good?
Yeah, I'm good. Just talking with Mary Ann, and this is something that the board's going to have to discuss. And it's really not, it's just a carryover, a byproduct of what we're talking about with Michael, just townwide. We are going to have to look at the debt forecast. Money is cheap, and I totally agree. And we also have to do infrastructure projects. But we do need to start just taking a look at the overall debt service. Mary Ann, just talking with her, she asked me to bring this up because it's growing from 1.6, and in the next say 4 years it will grow over 2 million. So we just have to, sometimes it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
But we also have some money that we have realized in the general fund. So we just have to, the board has to make a decision. Do we ban or borrow it all? Or do we start, maybe taking a little bit from savings, because we've done so well in savings over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's a balance that we have to figure out. So it's a carryover of what Michael's saying. It's not all what Michael's saying. The town and the special districts add a lot to this debt, but now's the time to at least
Yeah, I
bring it up
agree. Yeah.
for when Mary Ann is here. We need to review our overall debt service.
Yeah.
Not
I agree.
horrible, but it is growing, so you just want to be,
Be aware of
cognizant
that.
of it.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's all. I just wanted to,
Yeah. No,
I promised Mary Ann that I would mention it, and I follow orders.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, she's a little bit distance away, so she's not going to be able to hear you. But, all right, Jonathan, did you have something else?
Yeah, just in addition to what Councilman Lupinacci was saying, there is over a $200,000 increase that's going to start this year for the next 5 years, and that's based on the purchase of the property at Swan Cove. My bigger concern is really what we're doing in the future with infrastructure. Yours is a very small part of the pie, but if we start looking at what we're getting for the amount of emergency repairs we're doing all across different districts, the amount we're looking at for facilities, the amount that we're looking at for replacement of distribution systems, that to me is really what I feel is going to be one of the scariest parts that we're going to see. Because it hasn't done, we really haven't done that in probably 30 years, a true plan of systematic replacement. So you just keep coming with requests like this, and that size, unfortunately, they're a lot easier to swallow than what we're going to be coming
What's going to happen, yeah.
when it comes to
They're gonna
water
get
and
bigger.
sewer.
I understand completely, and I'd like to tell you, welcome to New York State.
Exactly.
The whole state is going to find out that we are in dire need of working on our local roads and our bridges. We are in dire need, and you're going to see bridge failures probably within the next 5 to 10 years that could be dramatic and traumatic. It's unfortunate. So, again, I go up to Albany every year. I lobby for more money. It just, in New York State, we unfortunately don't pay heed to what a lot of the highway people tell us, and say, and the engineers. It's an unfortunate. This town has been very progressive in what they see, because they have been able to meet the needs that we see short term. But you're right, long term, it's a big number.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah.
If you could just continue to keep us abreast of what you see, so we don't have to close down roads when a bridge is condemned, basically. I think especially given unfortunate incidents that have happened in multiple states already in the past couple of years with bridges having casualties, I would say we should definitely be looking at that.
We're fortunate in the town of Carmel, we only have
We
one
only have one
bridge.
bridge.
Is that the one that,
Stillwater Bridge,
No,
that's
Stillwater
it.
Bridge.
So,
That little bridge over the Stillwater
that's the
Creek.
one that we had to close up the road for a while for?
no, that was a oversized culvert. A bridge or anything, a culvert is considered anything under 20 feet in span, anything over that, but Stillwater is a bridge. That was a culvert that we did, Potter Road, we did close it, we did change the size of the opening and put in a new culvert. But again, that doesn't fall underneath the bridges. But there is money available now, I found out, so that's nice to find out. So if we do have another one to do, New York State does have,
I thought
you
they
have to
might
apply for
reimburse
a
us.
grant, yes, so.
Yeah, I think the one you're referring to is the one on Drewville Road, that bridge, that span that was closed.
Oh,
by
okay,
the
well,
state.
that's a county road, yep, yeah,
Yeah,
So there's bridges in Carmel, but luckily on the county.
it's on the county road.
yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, any further questions for the highway superintendent?
The
None? If not-
the only thing I just want to continue to, and I know it's late in the season for us, because, and as I said, the storm delayed this. But realize that, and especially in the equipment ordering, if we are going to go out and bond it, there is a 45-day estoppel period before I can put the order in with the bonding. So if we, and I'm just not pushing, but I'm just saying to make sure that if we come into a decision, we should come quickly so that we can get further on this and we can get the money in place, so,
Sooner rather
Yeah.
than later.
I agree.
exactly. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
And Mike, I saw a sweeper, one of your sweeper trucks going up my hill this morning. Is
You
that-
know,
it's
Kenny,
a
I
good
brought,
sign.
I brought that in on February 27th, because it was 60 degrees.
Yeah.
I had it all fixed up, I had it oil changed, I had it all go. Today's the first day it went out.
Out, yeah, I saw it out.
Welcome to spring.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Mike.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. 60-degree days in January, and
Tomorrow's
then
supposed to be what, 70? Tomorrow and Friday?
spend the whole day inside now, I don't even know.
Oh, that's right, yeah, yeah.
I just know it's not gonna snow, that's the most important thing right now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks, Mike. All right, 7, 8, and 9 are Rich Franzetti, the PE Town Engineer. 7 is to consider a bond return for tax map number 65.12-1-22. Rich?
Good evening. In response to the attached request by the referenced applicant, a representative of the engineering department performed a field inspection in September of 2017 to evaluate the status of the site construction for the purpose of determining whether a bond was warranted. The original bond amount of $3,000 was posted in 1993, and based on our inspection, all the site improvements required have been completed, and we recommend that the bond be released.
Okay. I guess it took them a few years to complete the project, huh, Rich?
I think they forgot that the bond was out there, and
Date?
so.
Yeah, it's quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it had a low
High
cost to
school.
it on the $3,000 bond, right? That's what we're looking at?
Right, so.
Did you graduate from high school in 91?
No, I was in middle school back then.
Oh, okay. All right, any questions about the bond return? No? There being none, we're going to move on to 7, no, it's actually 8, I'm sorry. Consider request for emergency repairs, Carmel Water District Number 2.
So this memorandum that was provided to the board is for the request payment of emergency repairs. These are invoices that are over the town of Carmel's procurement policy. In this particular case, in Carmel Water District 2, there was a leak at Church and leak at the corner of Church and Seminary Hill Road. And this happened on March 12th of 2018. And from Mark, the operators of Carmel Water District 2 notified our department of a water line leak at that intersection. And due to weather conditions, the leak was repaired on March 19th, 2018, by Ed Cook. The amount that it cost was $8,129.50. We've advised the controller that the expenditure, and there are sufficient funds in the budget for this repair. The work has been completed, and the leak is repaired.
Okay. All right. The leak's been repaired. Mr. Cook would like to be paid for his work.
$8,000 repair.
Yep. Yep. Huge repair. Any further questions regarding this item? Mike? Anything further? Jonathan, anything? John?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Rich, you want to go on to the final agenda item number 9, is to consider request for payment, operation and maintenance, East of Hudson Watershed Corporation. This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 8,000-pound gorilla in the room, what I call it, for the 19 municipalities, Putnam, Westchester, and Dutchess. It's the MS4 regs, municipal separate stormwater, sewer stormwater regs that came down from the federal government that are being administered by the New York State DEC. So the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation was formed years ago to address those regs. And Rich, you want to take it from there? This is just an expense associated with that.
So, as Supervisor Schmidt mentioned, this is the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation. It's made up of 19 municipalities in Dutchess, Putnam, and Westchester counties, and was established as a regional stormwater entity in response to the heightened phosphorus removal requirements under the New York State DEC stormwater regulations. The East of Hudson Watershed Corporation administers, coordinates, and installs the regional stormwater retrofits or projects, or SRPs, with funds made available by the New York City DEP, Westchester County, and Putnam County. Through the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation, member municipalities collectively are achieving compliance with their stormwater retrofit projects through bubble compliance, regardless of the physical location of each retrofit. Attached documents to this, the O&M policy for the municipality has to maintain the stormwater SRPs that have been or will be installed. The town adopted the East of Hudson Watershed policy in February of 2016. Due to bubble compliance, the town is required to pay for the O&M based on the town's overall phosphorus reduction, not just for those SRPs installed within the town. The East of Hudson provides the O&M for the SRPs located in the town. There's an invoice now in the amount of $15,024.76 for the O&M performed in 2017. Per Mary Ann, there are not sufficient funds in the budget to pay for this invoice, and payment of the invoice will require funds to be transferred for the contingent line or the unreserved fund balance. So just as for the edification to the board and to the public, the 5-year phosphorus goal reduction for the entire East of Hudson Watershed Corporation was 459 kilograms. The town's portion of years 1 through 5 is 72 kilograms, around 16% of the East of Hudson's goal. There are 13 stormwater retrofit projects installed in the town with a total phosphorus reduction of 28.6 kilograms, around 40% of what the town should be doing. However, due to bubble compliance, we are covered underneath that, and we don't have to worry about having the extra retrofits installed. And that's about where we're at. So
we have fixed, or we've already reduced more than 90% of these other municipalities are even required. I'm looking at the 460 and what the 5-year reduction requirement is, and as you said, Carmel is 72, and you said that we've already reduced 28.
Yes, so we have the
largest amount, and our 28 is
the least amount done.
It's okay, but it's the least amount done, but that 28 also is almost larger than any of the other towns. You know, Bedford 32, Brewster's 9, Cortland's 11. Lewisboro's 35. I mean, like, we fixed 28. Lewisboro's entire amount is 25. I mean, my point to you and to the public is that, you know, us being 16% of this, we are the largest amongst all of these.
Correct. We have the highest phosphorus reduction requirement. We are considered the larger of the retrofits and MS4s in the area.
And what we've already fixed or reduced, I should say, I shouldn't say fixed, is greater than what 70% of these towns have to do in 5 years.
You're correct with that, but some of those other municipalities have additional phosphorus that was reduced, so they've gone above and beyond what their requirement was, which is why we're paying for it. But yes, you're correct.
Got it.
Our 28 is higher than a bunch. I don't know the percentages. I didn't do the numbers, but looking at it, yes, ours is higher. That our 28 kilograms that we've done already is already higher.
Just depressing when you look at the numbers and what Carmel has to do to, for this, so.
Well,
it's-
and, you know, the bubble compliance has helped us with that. In that sense, we pay for O and M overall for our 72, but we don't have to have 72 kilograms worth of retrofits put in the town.
Yeah.
So, and we're not pushing for them. It's happening everywhere else, so.
And because of the bubble compliance, if Patterson receives credits for phosphorus reduction, it counts towards the total number, the 459, I think it was.
Correct.
The total. So we're actually, because of that, we receive credits, not from our town, but from the town of Patterson collectively, so they're all, you know, we're meeting the demand.
For the region.
Yeah, for the region, yeah. You know, and this is, you know, and the New York City DEP has contributed funds towards this. But really, ultimately, most of this, if not all of it, is to keep their water, to protect their watershed, the water in the watershed for New York City drinking water.
Correct. The funds that are in Westchester, Putnam, and Dutchess County that are being used are the East of Hudson watershed funds that were signed off on in 1997. You know, so when those funds were given to the municipalities or to the counties at that point in time. So, but this is, the O and M is now a different requirement. So the monies that were given as part of the original 1997 agreements was only to install the retrofits, not for O and M. So they were basically pushing the onus of that, of taking care of the retrofits back down to the municipalities because they wanted to make sure there was some skin in the game for them. So the DEP has, as part of all the watershed rules and regulations, don't allow some of their funds to be spent on this. Now, for O and M, if you go to the FAD monies, which we have most of the town of Carmel is in the FAD, which is the filtration avoidance determination area, so just so the public knows, FAD. Most of the town of Carmel is in a FAD basin. Some of the monies that come from FAD, which are directly from New York City DEP to the New York State Department of Health, can be used for O and M and for different pieces of the way that the system is run. It's just, it's as you can imagine, it's very confusing. If anybody has any questions, all the documentation is back at my office. If obviously board members have questions, it's somewhat convoluted. It's a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. So it's the Supervisor Schmidt mentioned the 80,000-pound gorilla, or I say the 7-headed giga monster, but whatever it is what we have to deal with here, living in the town of Carmel, living in the East of Hudson watershed.
It's really an unfunded mandate. It's an unfunded mandate.
Correct.
From the federal government, from the Clean Water Act administered by New York State. It's just another one of those unfunded mandates. But all right, thanks, Rich. Any further questions for Rich on this? Okay, all right.
Sorry to have to
Thank
be
you.
the bearer of bad news on that.
No, that's...
Don't shoot the messenger on this one.
Fine. No.
Have a good night.
All right. Okay, that completes the agenda items for this evening's town board work session. We're going to open up the floor to public comment on the items that we covered this evening. So if anybody wants to come up and comment on items 1 through 9, come on up at this time.
Hi, good evening. My name's Steve Lacadara, and I'm here on behalf of Mahopac Hills Association. I know Mr. Simone, Mike, mentioned about the drain pipes. We have drain pipes that are going through Rockledge, across Westlake Boulevard, and down into the association right-of-ways that go down into the waters. And a couple of them caved in over the year. We did extensive work on some retaining walls, which needed to be done. You could say it probably needed to be done earlier than it should have been, but, you know, that's okay. We got it done and the job is completed. But now we would like to see the drain pipes repaired, because over the rust, you know, over the years, they've been rusted and decaying. And I know that Mike's been working with us here and there, and we were just trying to find out, you know, when we can get that done and when that's going to be done. Or if they're included in the drain pipes that Mike's working on. Okay?
Mike, can you speak to that at all? I know Westlake Boulevard's a county road, but Rockledge is a town road.
Right.
Right.
Well, the good news is the pipes on Rockledge and Westlake have been replaced prior to them redoing Westlake Boulevard. So really what we're talking about is from the catch basin which is at the corner of your beach property down to the lake.
Right, okay.
So
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, that whole part.
that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, Steve, thank you. Mike, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up on the agenda items that we covered? Yes, sir. No.
My name's Joe Pezza, I live on Cassie Court. Mike was called about 10 years ago, Mike, to take care of the circle.
Mr. Pezza? Mr.
Enough is
Pezza,
enough.
Can you address the board, please? I know,
Yeah.
I know the highway superintendent's here, but address the board.
Okay. Michael was called about 10 years ago to take care of the problem in the circle. Enough is enough, because the circle is a mess. The truck driver come over there, they look at it, they pass by, they don't do nothing about it.
The cul-de-sac
Yeah, it's
on your
the
street?
cul-de-sac. You also were called to look at it, and you never came.
All right, and what's the issue with it?
Cassie Court.
I
the
know, but
cul-de-sac.
what's the problem with it? With the roadway, with the,
It's a mess. The snow plow made a mess. They send the double plow, the double blade on the cul-de-sac. You can't do that. It's a mud hole.
okay. All right, well, I'm sure that the highway department is gonna be taking a look at
Yeah,
all.
when?
Well, I don't-
This is
it's-
10
well,
years
it's-
already.
It's the
10
highway
years, Mike,
superintendent
enough is
schedules-
enough. When you gonna do it?
I'm sure the highway superintendent is gonna schedule something for all the roads throughout the town of Carmel, including your road.
No.
No, well,
This is enough with
Okay.
this town.
all right, well, he's here.
Hey, high tax,
He's
we
here.
should take care of it.
Mr. Pezza, he's here, and he heard you, and I'm sure he's going to address it. I guess that's the best I can tell you. He's aware of it, we're aware of it, and
All
thank
right,
you.
because if it's not gonna come, we hire somebody, you pay for it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Pezza. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else that would like to come up on agenda items only at this time? Come on up. Okay, there being none, I'm going to open up the floor to new business. This is the open forum, yes, sir. Open forum portion of the meeting. Must be your resident, sir?
I'm a resident.
Okay.
I'm a resident of Mahopac.
All right.
40 years.
Okay,
Okay, 40
great.
years, living in the Kirk Lake district, in that area. On Saturday, it was discovered that major tree clearing was begun at 29 Tyler Court on the west side of Kirk Lake. Police were called because we believed that there were no permits. Work kept throughout the weekend. Over 100 trees were cleared. On Monday morning, a bunch of residents ran in to the building department as soon as it opened. Turned out there were no permits, there was no site plan. We asked for immediate reaction to it. Later in the day, someone went out, and the only reaction from the building department was to ask them, allow them to continue with no silt fence, ask them to set up a silt fence so nothing would flow down into Kirk Lake, and they let them keep working. No more trees were felled, but they allowed them to keep cleaning up the property. My complaint is that code enforcement is lacking. There's a mindset in the town. I've been, as a 40-year resident, speaking with my neighbors, people go ahead and have their mindset to do things without permits and believe that a small slap on the wrist or, filling out permits afterwards, will allow them to get away with. I believe the town should be, more forceful so that there are more consequences more severe, so that, this is a major operation. And the reaction, I think, was
Do you happen
negative.
to know who the property owner is?
Do
By
we
any
know?
chance? All right. Okay, do you have any information on this, Rich, that you can share? If you can't, then don't.
No, not any additional information than what this gentleman is reporting right now. There was a tree cutting. I did visit the site. I believe Mike issued a stop work order or an NOV on the site for the work. There were no permits put in, so everything the gentleman has said so far has been correct. They were still working. I had received a bunch of phone calls. Mike has received a bunch of phone calls. We had asked them to stop on Monday. We said, clear out so you can put in silt fence. They were still doing work on Tuesday. When they called in, we said, you have to stop working completely and come in with your plans, and that's where we're at right now.
Why wasn't, and we got the police involved, why wasn't there an immediate stop work order immediately, and an enforcement of it? Why,
So just so the board is aware, I can't address that answer, but I will say our normal reaction to this, or our normal protocol for this, is to let whoever is doing the work at least get silt fencing up or put in some kind of stormwater controls, because the damage that'll come from that, if there is a rain event or some kind of, significant storm event, is worse. Not to make light of the fact that trees were cut, right? But the fact that they were cut and now you don't have that, afforded that protection of the tree canopy, you put the silt fence up, and that's all we asked them to do, and we asked them to get there.
I agree, but but the silt fence appeared 24 hours later, after a full 8 hours of work the day before. So why, if you're concerned, as I agree, that's an immediate need, nothing should have been done until that silt fence went up, in the least. I don't know what the process is about fining people. I'm not aware of what happens, but my general opinion is that there's a lack of consequential action for, activities like this.
Your timing is impeccable for me, because you hit it on the button. And literally today at 1 o'clock, I spent an hour, somebody connected to the court services in this town. And yesterday, I spent an hour with one of the judges discussing exactly what you just said. And hopefully this board is going to try to change the attitude of people in the next year or two, that the Wild West is over. And zoning.
Wild West is exactly how it
And zoning codes.
As a citizen, how do we become aware of, activities that you're going to proceed with?
The zoning codes are going to be enforced. From me, I can tell you that. And like I said, your timing is just, couldn't be right on. 1 o'clock today, I spent an hour with somebody, and yesterday an hour. And I actually got this from the court today about repetitious noncompliance. So it's something we are all looking into. But I just, you're not going to feel better about it.
Just as a last comment, it would be helpful if communication with the building department was a little more improved.
It's all being tied in as you stand there and speak at the podium. The supervisor has a meeting set up with the zoning inspector, the building department, the building inspector, and the compliance officer. We were supposed to do it last week, and it just got pushed over. But next week it will be set. We will sit down and discuss fines, enforcement, and restoration.
Okay, thank you.
I'll do do it,
You wanna speak first?
I'll do it at the end.
Okay,
And then run.
okay, all right.
I just want to say, my name is Jane Karch, and I'm on the board of KLWA Kirk Lake Watershed Association. And I know we're not a political organization, but I just want you to know that we've established ourselves maybe 8 years ago and have spent very much of our own money trying to maintain that lake, to keep our property values, but also because we care very much about the lake. I came in and talked to Mr. Frazzetti because I understand there might be a thing where you're gonna cut the 100-foot buffer down to 50 feet. All these things are very, very concerning to us. So I just want to introduce myself and just let you know that we're very serious and work very hard to maintain the lake at our own expenses.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, appreciate that. Yes, sir. Can I just ask one question, Rich, and you may not want to comment, and it's fine. Do we know why these trees are being cut down? Are they planning on developing that site?
29 Tyler Court's developed.
It's developed, so,
There was a house on it, there was an old frame on there, but it was fully grown in, so I believe somebody's looking to develop it. There is no house on there now, there's an old stone frame.
Is a
on-
vacant lot still on
Yes,
Tyler
sir.
Court?
I think there's actually a vacant lot next to that one, there's two vacant lots up there.
the old Girl Scout camp?
So there's an old stone masonry foundation,
Yeah.
you know, that was on the property. You would not have seen it unless the trees were cut down, not that, you know, so.
All right, so do you know if is it their intention to develop that site?
No.
We don't know.
I don't know that
Okay.
answer.
All right.
My guess would be yes, but I don't know that answer because no plans were brought
Got it.
forth to the building department or anywhere else.
All right, thank you, Rich.
Ron Yehuda, I live in Mahopac in Lillian Road. I also own the property that is next to that property that was developed. My wife owns it. Just to add insult to injury, the work was not stopped on Monday, and on Tuesday, what they did, these guys, they were going 15 to 20 feet into my property and cutting the trees there. So would have they been stopped in Monday, my property trees were not being damaged. There is a town road that was going down to the retention pond. It's a very clear borderline between the properties, which these guys, being ruthless, just ignored everything, and because they wanted to clean the area from those 10 inches, 100-year-old trees, and they need a lot of place to turn around and get it into their wood chipper, they had to go through my property. And now and the only reason that they stopped was when I called Mahopac police, Carmel police. The surgeon came, and we showed her, and she said, "You guys have to stop right now. It's nothing to do with stop order from the building department. You stop now." And I said, "So what am I doing?" He said, "Sue them." Now I have to go sue these guys for being on my property with those heavy vehicles that were not supposed to be there at all, not staked, and it's like Wild West at its best. That's where it is. And when I'm trying to figure out who was the owner of that property as well, today my wife spent in the town of Carmel an hour or so to try to find out who are we suing at all, and there is no records of any transaction, but there was some transaction. But they couldn't find the transaction of the new owner who is intending maybe in the future to build on this land. But there was no records of that guy that claims to be the owner of that property, which is a Mahopac resident or town of Carmel resident named King. He called me because I told him I'm going to sue him. I found out from the tree guy, that company. I said, "Listen, either you give me the name who sent you here, or I'm suing you guys because I have my attorneys ready." So he gave me the name of the guy who paid him, who claimed to be the owner, but that doesn't show in any town of Carmel, not computer and not manual paper, which is ridiculous.
I'm going to be following up on this tomorrow with the engineering department and the building department and figure out what's going on there, because this is the first I'm hearing of this. I wasn't aware that there was any large tree cuttings
It's
or
about
clearing going on.
1.5 acre of trees has been cleared. And the biggest problem, he would never get approval for that because just it's more than 3 minutes. But that particular area, one second, that particular area has, there is it's about 500 to 600 feet away from the lake. The first 300 feet are part of the it's a retention pond for the
Retention
whole
ponds.
area, which Mike Barilla is the developer of that particular area, knows very well that all the trees on that area have been cut, by the way, by the same guy who cut the trees today, the same tree company.
Not
So
supposed
he
to be
knew
touched.
exactly,
South of
Raymond
Detroit.
Chase knew exactly what he's doing. So the guy who bought that land knew that the first, let's say, 300 feet were cleared already. All he has to clear is the other 300 feet, and he has a football-size 1.5 acre lot with a beautiful view of the lake, and all the runoff of that road would go straight to the lake, straight.
Right.
And he would never get the permit for that if he would go and give you guys a plan. Now, after all the evidence have been, except for my phone copies, the photos I took, all the evidence has been cleared, and it's going to be nice. Nobody will know there were 100 trees. If you go on Google today, you can see 100 trees on that because they have the last winter picture still, of course, on Google Earth.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Okay.
you can. This is really Wild West, and
All right.
you know, I'm in tears because not only for that, not only for my property, that people are like, you know, and they say, well, yeah, we had to go through there. I said, what do you mean you had to go through there? In the first day they came, I showed them the property line. It's a road, it's a town, like an access road of the town to the retention pond that the guy on tax map, you can see, half of that road only belonged to him. They trashed the road, and it's like Wild West, and nobody can stop them. Even the police said, you know, how do I know that he's on your land? That was the first question. Then, fortunately enough, the actual workers were honest enough not to lie to the police and tell them, yes, there was a road here, and yes, this guy told us not to cross the road, and yes, we did it because we didn't have a choice. It was more convenient for us for the big trees to move them around. Thank you.
Rich.
I really appreciate if someone
Okay, no, I'll follow up on it tomorrow with Mike Carnaz, the building inspector.
I
And
want to ask Rich something. You're the wetland inspector. Did you walk the property?
I went and took pictures, I have them on file, so I did go to the site and I asked the guys cutting the trees to stop the cutting.
Because
That was on Monday.
ECB, you could only cut a certain amount of trees.
Correct, but when we know about it, this happened, we found out on Monday, right? So, again, it was happening over the weekend, but we didn't know about it, I didn't know about it until Monday morning when we got in. We went out, Mike, I don't know if Mike went out there, I can't speak for Mike Carnazza. I know he said he was going out there, don't know if he did, believe he did, but I know I went out there.
I just want to make sure you saw it, that's all.
I did see it. Oh, yeah, no, I visited the
saw it.
site.
He saw it. I know Mike Carnaz, he saw it.
And,
No, he saw it.
This was Monday.
that I saw.
Okay, so we've identified the property owner. We know who that is? Rich? We know who the property owner is? You don't have to mention the name, but we know the property owner?
I've heard the name, but I don't know who the property owner is.
I can
Mike,
tell you that in
Mike,
the-
not
can
you,
tell
Mike.
you in
You probably know who the
research-
property owner is, but
I can tell
Mike
you that in the
Carnazza knows
research
who it
today
is. I don't
with,
know it.
I believe Rose, they couldn't find that there was any transaction. The guy that claims he owns the property has not any record in the town.
Is it a New York City property owner?
No, it is not. I'd have to go double check. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
I apologize. I
That's
don't
right.
believe that New York City DEP
I
is
just
the
thought it was
property
fully
owner.
developed by now.
No,
Well,
I know,
well,
Mike Carnazza mentioned that there was a person who owned the property. He said it's the first time he's ever been building in the area. He's always been somebody he's a framer of some sort. I don't know the name. I don't know.
And the original owner must have sold one.
So,
The guy
again, Mike Carnazza is probably best suited to answer some of these questions to the board
Well,
members.
The assessor record should have the property owner.
Again, if there's a transfer, I don't know that you're correct,
All right,
it
we'll
should,
follow-
but they may
In the
not
assessor's
transfer it.
record, is not the person that claimed that they did their job. In the assessor's record of the town, which my wife spent more than an hour today with Rose and all the assessor's people, they could not find that guy that claims that he bought that land. They couldn't find that transaction on file.
Okay. We'll follow up on it.
Thank you.
We'll figure out what's going on, all right? Thank you. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. Thanks for being here.
29.
Tyler.
Hello.
Hi, Jean Hopper again. I just have some questions about this. When this happened and they notified the police, why is there no permit that those doing the work can present to the police and say, oh, I understand they're upset, but here's the permit that we filed for XYZ work? Why do they have to wait till Monday, 2 days where damage can be done, the wrong thing can be done, illegal things can be done, and it's okay.
obvious
Why do
there's
they
no
not have to
permits.
present, or even better, as a neighborly gesture, when there is work on property that's bordering, I remember years ago, our neighbor did some porch work, and it had to be grandfathered in because it got real close to our property, and the town notified us and said, hey, listen, there's going to be a hearing on a lot adjoining yours. Do we not do that anymore, when there's work to be done?
No,
Not when it's being done illegally,
Right.
without a permit.
sounds like.
Okay,
they-
all
But
right.
if it is done
But-
with the
well,
permit,
but
then yes,
then my
absolutely,
question
then
goes to, when the police are called and they cannot provide a permit, there should be some sort of immediate work stoppage.
Well, the police-
Immediate, not till Monday or Tuesday with silt or whatever covers, immediate. Why were the police not allowed to ask them to halt?
I would say at that point, a call should have been made, and they called the building inspector out a lot. A call could have been made. I'm not sure if it was or it wasn't to Mike Carnazzi.
But Ken, my question is, if the contractor working on that property cannot provide the paperwork to the police officer at that time,
They should-
work is stopped.
Yes.
Okay, so if the building inspector is on vacation or can't be reached, it stops.
I agree with
Then
you,
and there,
yes.
neighbor calls and says, oh my God, they're bonfiring or they're doing something awful, stopped.
Comes
I
down
don't
to
understand why it was
enforcement
allowed to
issue.
work till Tuesday.
Comes down to the enforcement issue. It all comes down to enforcement.
I mean, nobody knows. The police say, well, we don't know, the guy's doing work. Come on.
That's a highly sensitive area. I know it firsthand. And,
But the police is asking that contractor for the work order. Where's your permit? Where's your work order? Let me see that.
It should have
Oh, I don't
stopped
have
right-
it. Well, then
Should
you're
have- I
stopping
agree with
until
you.
you have it. The onus is on
no one's
the contractor.
disagreeing with you. It should have stopped
It
right
should have
then.
stopped at that point. It should have.
So
no
why is it
further
sensitive if
activities.
it's on the contractor? Why is asking for
No, no,
my
no.
driver's license when I'm pulled over? That's not sensitive. I'm just exact
No,
same
the
thing.
area I meant is a sensitive wetland area. That's what I meant.
Oh, even more so than when you call the police.
Correct.
So why weren't they immediately stopped? Because we don't have the protocols in place
It's
to say,
exactly
where's your
what I told that
paperwork?
gentleman.
We just found out about this. This is the first time hearing it.
But you know what? I'm not talking about just this case. Not just this case. This happens time and time and time again.
The conversation has been started. I'm going to tell you the same exact thing I told that gentleman. Today, I had it for an hour. Yesterday, for an hour. In my travels, working for my very difficult, hard-to-work-for daughter, I go to a lot of different towns. I go to a lot of different towns.
Right.
And I'm seeing regulations that I'm saying, why don't we do it here?
Do we not contact
There's-
adjoining property owners anymore when
There is
there's
a,
anything
there,
to be
there is
done?
not a town outside of Carmel that if you start something and then you go in to get a permit to start it the correct way, that you don't pay double and triple for the fees,
Right.
or $1,000 penalty, and again, double or triple for the fees. That's what we want to start in Carmel. And until we start it, the Wild West will continue.
This is
Until-
this happened to us too, to my our own property. We bordered woods. Somebody buys the property, they have every right to build. Not saying they don't, but just on a Saturday morning, you wake up to these massive trees falling, and you're thinking, really? Do they have the right to do this?
As soon as
I
he
was
said
never
Saturday, I
notified.
knew.
Yeah, I just
Greg,
wanted
can-
to make
can you
mention
help
on
to
that too, because I
clarify
think
a
that's
point
disgraceful.
On,
Thank you.
can you help to clarify a point on enforcement and who's able to enforce that? Who can enforce that?
The board's in the process right now of considering kind of an omnibus overhaul of Chapter 89, which is your freshwater wetlands law. As it's written now, I don't believe that the enforcement agency includes the Town of Carmel Police Department. I think it's the building inspector and the freshwater wetlands inspector. You can spell that out more specifically in the new law that you're considering by modifying it. You're setting a public hearing up for May for the versions of that. You had referred that to the ECB for their commentary, and some recommendations have been made on their proposed revisions to the law. But, I mean, the issue is you have the circumstance where you have local enforcement, and the local courts cannot issue injunctions. And the only thing you're ever going to get is a piece of paper. It's a court order saying you may not do X, Y, and Z in this circumstance, continue clearing, or clear more than required under the code, or permitted under the code, which I think, is it over 10 trees of a certain caliber, you need a,
I think it's 5
wetland permit.
trees that
Was
measure
10
the diameter of 4 inches at chest height.
6 inches diameter at breast, and it's 10 trees on a property with a house, and it's 5 trees on there's there's a tree law also that has it written in there.
That's the current version of it. And I think there's some modifications to that in the proposed version that you're looking at adopting. But anything absent that can be done, you just have to go through the proper channels and go through the ECB prior to that. And the
So
people
that's something we
get
should-
noticed for the ECB hearings when there's a permit. But if somebody goes out and decides
And just goes-
they're going to do it by themselves and start cutting, clear cutting, then that's what happens. And if you give the enforcement power to the police, you probably have a better opportunity to have immediate cessation of the activities.
And that we
than-
actually have on the agenda for a public hearing
I think
coming
May-
up.
And that goes back to
Is it May
also,
2nd?
Yeah, something, okay, then the next question that I have, because I feel like I've had this conversation multiple times with members of the building department, members of our court system. We could say your fine can go up to $10,000. Do we have any way of influencing what happens there?
You do not, okay? Those are, when people are brought into the local court on violation of any local ordinance or code, some of them, the way they're written, are actually misdemeanors. There's a maximum you can put on misdemeanors in New York State of any class, and you're not permitted to influence any of that process, and beyond reasonable doubt is the standard of proof. So, like most cases in the system, they end up being pled out to one disposition or another. But, I mean, the obligation's on the town to prove each and every element of whatever the offense is, whether it's violation of that particular section of the the freshwater wetlands law, or some other town code violation that involves zoning, Chapter 156. That's the onus. So most of them get pled out. The fine structure is generally discretionary from a 0 to a maximum on a first offense, and there can be progressive increases, I know, under zoning. But the board can't influence that process. The only thing you can do is change the law.
Are we able to set a minimum on what those are?
they fine when you come back in, and
Are we able to set a minimum on that? Because I feel like we talked about that as well in previous
You can set a
years.
minimum within the New York State parameters for violations and misdemeanor offenses, yeah.
And that would mean that the judgment can't be lower than that unless they plea out, or?
most of these are tied in though, Jonathan, to construction
Yeah.
or
absolutely.
permit process that was skirted.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
So,
And I've
the
heard
very
from so
easy
many
way-
people who have gone through the system, and I've heard from our employees. I could write 11 different violations, and in the end, I get a $100 application fee.
The metaphor is ask for forgiveness and not
easiest
for
way to
permission,
do it.
okay? And that's what happens a lot with zoning.
It's part of the cost of doing business.
matters, okay.
Most people who are going to do it the wrong way see it as just part of the cost of doing business.
Spelled out very clearly, Town of Cortland, Peekskill, Yorktown, Bedford, Elmsford, where else? The price for a building permit, if you did anything before you got the permit, automatically triples, and there's a fine on it. Those are numbers the town can set. Okay? We have the jurisdiction. We don't have to worry about the court system. We don't have to worry about the state system. We have to worry about who comes in for a building permit. Bedford has a $1,000 fine if you start something without a permit, and then you pay double the permit fees. That's what we have to do. End of discussion. That's what we have to do.
In your fee schedule. So if there's a disposition in local court that somebody had been found guilty of whatever offense, the fee schedule could change,
And that goes
as
into.
opposed to influencing the fines that the court would set on a
So we just
conviction.
set that in our annual fee schedule.
You do it a different way.
And that goes
Fee
into the
schedule, I would have to
conversation that we
modify.
had last week.
And that's actually, it's somewhat tied, the announcement that I wanted to make, that before this happened, but similar to Councilman Borelli, I got 2 phone calls, and we have been saying, this board, and now with Mr. Borelli on it, that we're going to revisit our code. I'm not saying not to do anything that we're talking about up here going forward in the intermediate timeframe, but we really have to look at the master plan and look at our code. We've mentioned it many times last year. We have to, and we have money in the budget. We have to start doing it, but simultaneously, That's gonna take a 2-year process. We still have to.
This can be done now.
Absolutely
like
correct. And you could dual track it, and do it very quick, and then long-term, look at the code. So, and I will say, I'll just take, one section. Keep saying it. I will take a lead to find, some, outside counsel. Not that, Greg couldn't do it, but just, to get this is a project. This is not just, like we have, people come in. This is a
Try
project.
and dovetail with the master plan.
Yeah.
The
And
code
try to
overall.
dove it, and Greg and I have spoken about it, so it's not, to dove it in with the, so.
Set that appointment with the building department, Dennis and Michael next
Yeah,
week.
right.
So we could
Well,
open this
we'll have
conversation.
that conversation.
And the whole board could understand what we're trying.
Yeah, okay. All right. Great, thank you. Steve, did you have something?
I am back again on behalf of Mahopac Hills Association. There's a couple of questions that some members asked me to ask the questions. Why hasn't District 9 been completed yet? That's the first question.
The
District 9 is the water project
water-
that's been on the maps for 30 years with Barbara Vallo, who the money was allocated, set aside, the engineering was done, completed. The project is 90, maybe 90% done. Now, wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's been allocated for many years, and there's a percentage of it that needs to be done, so then that way we can get our roads paved, which haven't been paid, because I know I built my house 22 years, okay? I got a nice shock I had to replace, a spring in my front end, but that's beside the point. All that money and all that engineering was done for that whole project. And then we're going back to finding out what's going on with it, and we find out a couple of years ago there was another survey done for the same project that hasn't changed. No other houses were added, no roads got bigger, deeper, wider, nothing, for $4,700. That's that survey. And about a year ago or 2 years ago, another survey for the same project for $27,000. Why are we doing more surveys on a project that was already completed, engineered, nothing has changed, the volume of water is still the same, and there it is? Where's that money going? We're the highest paid district so far in this area. I know, because we just put all new pumps in down many years ago on another generator. It comes out of our district. That's that. Now, also, on this whole project, there was another set of permits that had to be paid for. That's $35,000. Why is there $52,000 going for fees that have already been done for this project that has not been completed? That's my question. I don't mind paying for things, but when I feel I'm getting ripped off, and the people in my association are coming to me and finding out why, and they're telling me these things, I got to sit up here and, And then on top of it all, you had Kingsridge that was completed, done, 1, 2, 3. The new development, Kingsridge itself, and now you got another district in Carmel that's being done. Why can't we finish something that was started 30 years ago? And the money has been put aside for it a long time ago.
I'm just going to, when is that going out to bid, Rich?
It went out.
You didn't hear what I said?
Didn't go out.
No, the construction. I don't think the construction.
I'd have to touch base with John Falchetti.
Okay.
I don't know. The plans and specs need to get moved forward, and we need to just let it out to bid. So I don't know the answer to that
Maybe
question.
you can answer a question for me. If we do a major project in the city and we do engineering and we have drawings and shop drawings and everybody gets on board with it and it's completed. We know the size of the pipes, we know where it's going to go, how much volume, how much water, how much pressure, everything. And there's nothing going to be added on to it after that point. Why do we have to do more surveys of it? Why are there more surveys being done on this project that was completed, surveyed, and engineered out 30 years ago?
I know that the surveys that were done as part of this project were additional surveys that were not completed in the original one.
90% of them were done, but this one wasn't?
Correct.
Why is that?
You can come up, I can show you the documents that we have upstairs.
I
don't,
will.
you're more than welcome to come in my office. I have all that information. You're more than welcome to come look at it.
I will. I mean, you're putting a pipe in the water. How much more surveys could be done? The $27,000
The
worth?
original, I know that for a fact that the original surveys did not identify the water lines that were in that area. The survey was a completely different survey. What you're talking about are two different things, but I have the documentation up at my office.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to come to my office, and we can certainly look at it. I can show you what's
I
going
know
on.
during the major project, we didn't put it, we put in 3 different valve systems, so
Wait,
we
you're
could
talking in
isolate
New York
areas.
City, or you're talking up here?
We're talking about District 9.
Oh, okay.
This is before my time.
And I know that there are 3 separate valves that zone off the last areas that we need to do. So if we need to shut and isolate something down and get to it, we can, because we already provided that. That's one of the reasons why we did the valve system, so we can isolate areas, God forbid there's wrongs. And I know that it was all stated in when Bob Ravallo did it, because that was one of our concerns, you know? We have other houses that are still on lake water in our area, you know, that's that. But, you know, other people want to know all these reasons, and I'm here to represent them, and that's what we're trying to find out.
Okay.
Okay?
So if,
Is there any way that someone can get back to me on all of this, or you want me to come to your office
Come
and
to my
find
office. I'll
out?
show you what I have. I'll show you the information we have. You're more than welcome. Anybody is allowed to come into that office like they are allowed in town hall, so.
Okay?
When do you think it's going to start?
And
When do you think it's going to start?
why
You know, I
would,
don't know that answer. I can get back to the board tomorrow or the next day with that answer.
can I, you gotta answer one more question for me. It's, why did this project end and like 7 other projects have been completed and this one has not finished? Why is that?
That I don't know the answer to, because that was before my time. I know that that's a
'Cause
cop-out
I know
answer,
what
but
we
it's
could have
not,
got
you know.
done in 20 years. I know it's this September, because I built my house, and I told them to stop paving the road, because we're putting water pipes in. So I know it's gonna be 20 years. So 20 years later, the price that we could have paid, we're gonna pay triple for. Obviously, I know that, because inflation. I don't get it. I mean, we're working backwards sometimes on what we're doing. And another thing with the permits and all that, what you need to do is you need to file, you have to, I forgot the name of the word, but you have to put a lien on the people's property and talk with the bankers in the areas that if anybody's gonna be selling their properties and they have liens on it, they can't sell them, you know? We've done that with our association because people didn't wanna pay. You know, our neighborhood is great. Our house is selling a week. This is why, because we all work together. We have board meetings like you guys, you know. But everybody has their job, and we all do our jobs. And everybody checks each other's jobs. That's why it works. So,
We'll get you those
those are
answers,
a couple
Steve.
questions we have. Thank you.
We'll get you those answers.
I know you
All
will.
right, we
Thank
will,
you.
definitely will. All right,
Thanks, Steve.
All right, thanks, Steve. Okay, is there anyone else here for new business, open forum portion of the meeting? Come on up at this time. Okay, there being none, I believe we have some announcements. You have one, John?
I have 2. We have Relay for Life, Paint the Town Purple, May 4th, 2018, on Friday, May 4th, 2018, held American Cancer Society, Paint the Town Purple in support of Relay for Life. Join us as we paint mahopac purple in honor of cancer survivors and raise awareness and funds to fight against cancer. For information about Paint the Town Purple, please contact Nicole Borelli Stern at Linlow Associates, 914-804-1771, or it's Nicole at lynlil.com. You can go to Mahopac Flower Shop. They're making Paint the Town Purple easier. You can call them at 628-2949 to place your order for purple bows. Bows will be available on April 16th. You could also go to Fraser Brothers Hardware for purple lights. And again, this is a nice relay cry for Relay for Life, celebrating its 20 years of hope on June 2nd, 2018, and it's noon to midnight. We'll talk about Relay for Life later, but again, this is for May 4th, Paint Your Town Purple, and you will start to see various flyers and information about this topic, which is going to be in 3 weeks.
Great, great. Thanks for announcing that, John.
No
That's
problem.
great. Yeah.
And then
Town Purple.
if I could do one more.
Yeah.
And I'm reading my phone because I have this on my phone. Yes, on April 27th. It's one of my very nice event. Witnessed it once, and I donate every year, and this is what I'm asking for donations for. Carmel High School CHS Junior Prom post-prom party of 2018 is in the works. The post-prom party will be held Friday, April 27th from 11:45 p.m. to Saturday, April 28th to 3:30 a.m. It is the 29th annual party that occurs up in Carmel after the junior prom. The party is at the high school. All juniors are welcome. You do not need to go to the prom. If you go to the prom, you can go there. If you don't go to the prom, you can go there. It is a fun-filled night, including food, soft drinks, games, DJ, photo booth, inflatables, video games. There's something for everyone. The event is through volunteers and donation. I do have, it's a GoFundMe account. I don't have the mailing address. I will find that out next week from Sue Stone. And you go on to GoFundMe, and the title of this GoFundMe account is CHS Post-Prom 2018. And it's a, like I said, it's a great event. It's safe for the kids after the prom. They have a great environment to go to. And again, 29th year, you know, it's wonderful what the Carmel High School is doing. So.
Sure is, and thank you for announcing it every year also, John. Thanks. Is it a great thing that they're doing? Absolutely. All right, I have just a couple of quick announcements. The Putnam County Department of Health, they're advertising their Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day, and that's going to be May 5th this year from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The location is Fawnstock Park, Canopus Beach parking lot off of Route 301 in Kent. They're going to be accepting hazardous waste items at that location. There's a whole list of the items that they do accept, and there's also items that will not be accepted. We're going to put this on our website, so if any, it's on the Putnam County website. It's on the Putnam County Department of Health website, and if you'd like to call them, they also have a phone number here, 845-808-1390, extension 43125. If you have any questions with respect to the Hazardous Waste Day on May 5th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., Fawnstock Park, right off of Route 301. There is pre-registration is required. So if you'd like to register by email, please send your 3 preferred times every 15 minutes beginning at 9 a.m. along with your town residence, Putnam Health at putnamcountyny.gov. You'll be sent a confirmation with a time. If you do not receive a confirmation email within 2 business days, please call the above number. So all the information is here on this flyer from Putnam County Health Department. And I just have some notices here for vacancies in the town of Carmel. The town board, the town of Carmel is looking for interested and qualified persons to fill vacancies. And we have Board of Assessment and Review. We spoke about that tonight when the assessor was here. There's vacancies on the Board of Assessment and Review. We have 3 vacancies. If anybody's interested in serving on that board, you meet 1 time a year, and that's May 22nd this year. So if you'd like to serve on that, I need to have a letter of interest and a resume by May 4th at my office here at the Town Hall. And we also have Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee vacancies. There are several vacancies on the Recreation and Parks Committee. And you need to submit a letter of interest and a resume for that as well to the Supervisor's office by May 4th. And that's Supervisor Ken Schmidt, Carmel Town Hall, 60 Mcalpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541. You can fax it to us if it's easier at 845-628-6836 or email it to amp2@ci.carmel.ny.us. For additional information, please check our website at www.carmelny.org. So if anybody's watching, or if there's anybody here that's interested in serving on the Board of Assessment Review, we need to get that information from you. And the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee, we need that as well to fill several vacancies on that committee. By May 4th, all right, please get that into my office if you're interested, or call my office, and we can give you further information about those positions. All right, that's all I have. Jonathan, did you have something else?
No, I'll have a couple of announcements next week when I have my head on the right way.
On the right way, yeah. You're still in tax mode. Yeah. All right, Mike, you have anything? Okay, we don't have executive session tonight, which is good. good. We normally do, but we don't have it tonight, so we're going to close the meeting right from here. So I need a motion to close.
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Schneider, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.